Today we're going to read chapter 11 of Knucklehead. It's called Strange Books. I learned to read by reading very strange books in school. They were brightly colored stories about a weird alien family, nothing like my family or of wrestling, tree climbing, bike smashing brothers, and nothing like the families of any of my friends either. This family was always neat. There was always a boy, two girls, a mom, and a dad. And they always talked in the weirdest way. They repeated themselves a lot. Like they would never say, "Hey, look at that dog." They would say, "Look, look, see the dog? That is a dog." The alien kids were named Dick and Jane. Strangest kids I ever heard of. The little sister was named Sally. The mom and dad called themselves Mother and Father. When I read the Dick and Jane stories, I thought they were afraid they might forget each other's names because they always said each other's names a lot. So if Jane didn't see the dog, Dick would say, "Look, Jane, look. There is the dog next to Sally, Jane. The dog is also next to Mother, Jane. The dog is next to Father, Jane. Ha ha ha. That is funny, Jane." Did I mention that Dick and Jane also had a terrible sense of humor? At home, my mom read me real stories. These were stories that sounded like my life. These were stories that made sense. She read me a story about a guy named Sam. Sam I Am. He was a fan of green eggs and ham. And then there was that story about the dogs. Blue dogs, yellow dogs, dogs that were up, dogs that were down, dogs that drove around in cars and met each other at the end of the book for a giant party in a tree. I cheered them on. Go dogs, go. I read about them all by myself because I wanted to. Go dogs, go. So I guess I didn't really learn to read by reading about those weirdos, Dick and Jane. I learned to read because I wanted to find out more about real things like dogs and cars and cats and hats. Which books did you like reading when you started to learn to read? When I was little, I also had to read some of these books, the Dick and Jane books. They were very strange. So I thought this chapter that John writes about was very funny. I also read a lot of Dr. Seuss books like he talks about, like Go Dogs Go, Sam I Am, and The Cat in the Hat. What were your favorite books growing up?